Hello, this is Youngsun again. We talked about Ecosophia in lesson 2. It's all about not just knowing, but do something. It's about practical knowing. Okay, and this is the last session of our topic. We will talk about implementation of learners agency. We talked about OECD 2030's student agency, okay? And we will talk about Deleuze. This is a French philosopher. His ontology of becoming. We will make some connection between OECD Education 2030's agency and Deleuze, his ontology, okay? So remember this one, they are talking about up to until 2030, we want to raise, develop students with transformative competencies, okay? Transformative competencies. And to do that, we needed to develop our achievement standards, including knowledge, skills, and attitude and values. Okay, and what is it form then? I mean, transformative means you needed to change forms. Okay, so let's talk about. Please look at this drawing. It's the work by Francis Bacon. It's the not the philosopher. It's current days drawer and artist. His name is Francis Bacon, and his works are the most expensive ones in the world. And what are they shouting? Can you see this mouse and teeth here? What are they shouting? Or what does he want to say? What did he want to say? Okay, so this is about old sayings. I mean, whenever you look at any natural object, they are consist of form and matter. Okay, the first dimension is matter. In science term, it's called mass. You are all familiar with the conservation laws of mass, okay? And there is another dimension, it's called form. And people or philosopher, they put high emphasis, they focus on matter. We call it empiricism, okay? And the other part, they focus on forms. We call them rationalism. It's like when you cook something, it's about matter means cooking ingredient. And form means the recipe you have, ways to cook, right? And matter means material basis, some fundamental entity of all things. Sometimes they say this is just like a cows. And this is like the form of cows, which we'll call cosmos, right? So form means abstract essence, giving and organizing in an orderly manner to an unordered matter. So when you order matter, you can get a form. Okay? So when matter comes to modern times, it changes to the concept of mass. And during change, any chemical or physical change, mass does not change, but form changes, right? So Immanuel Kant, he made this kind of expression: matter without form is blind. Does it make sense? you have a bunch of cooking ingredient, but you don't know how to cook. That is like blind situation, right? But what about vice versa? You have a form, but you don't have a matter. It's like empty. Okay, remember this expression. You have lots of material, matter, but you don't have any form. It's like blind. What about the other case? You have lots of forms, but you don't have any matter. It means empty. And Kant said this expression. And we say this again. I mean, it's like a subject matter versus competency. You teach science, you teach mathematics. To do what? To develop student competencies. Does it make sense? I mean, we want to develop student critical thinking, collaboration, and all kinds of intuition, creativity, flexibility. Through what? Through subject area. Okay? So this is revived again. Subject matter without competency is like blind. And competency without subject matter. I mean, you cannot teach critical thinking or others without any subject area. It's empty. So this is about the drawing wanna say. He emphasized the importance of a matter. It's like a body part or flesh in human body. Does it make sense? Flesh part. Or clay or material, metal. With this matter, you can make any form, right? So he is emphasizing matter. What you want to do with this matter. And this is, he is demolishing, deforming his face as well. Okay, it's his own portrait. So this is what I want to say is in these days, we have another movement. Whenever we say modernism, we emphasize the sameness. And there is a priority. There is a differentiation. There is a difference. Even there is a difference between people. Some are male, some are female. Some who are rich or who are poor. There is all kinds of difference. Difference sometimes turns into discrimination, right? So that's modern times. And the original or the basic one is sameness. Sameness is in human form, it's identity. It's your identity. It's my identity. I am who I am. But sometimes there is pops up some differences, right? I am still who I am, but there is sometimes there comes out differences, different aspect of my identity. So there is identity and illusions resembling it are created. And they are differentiating. There are identity, original one, and the copies. Sometimes identity versus simulacra. Illusion, it's called illusion or simulacra. And the fiction of identity. So we are moving from sameness to difference. Okay, we are talking about the difference between modernism and postmodernism. And in modernism paradigm, we focused on the sameness. In human version, individual human version is about identity. And they are saying based on the sameness or based on my own identity, there is sometimes there pops up differences. But in postmodernism, it's reversed. the original thing is a difference. And from the difference, there sometimes pops up sameness. Okay? They are saying while differences are being generated, being developed, there is a certain identity is repeated and emerged. And this is in another version. There is modernism, traditional ontology is the ontology of a being, and they pursue, they are after unchanging or something eternal. For example, Plato's idea. Okay, and modern philosophy is the philosophy of the subject, and modern culture is the culture of a copyright. The original thing, who created the original, it's called the author. And from the author, there is authorship and they have authority as well. But in postmodern philosophy, they are talking about the starting point of the modern ontology is to think of becoming. It's not modern, it's postmodern. In postmodern paradigm, the starting point is becoming and the time. They are saying time because it's changing over time. My identity is also changing over time, right? It's in Deleuze, he said this as a difference making or differentiation. So modern is the age of simulacra. So we are talking about from being to becoming. I mean, from in modern paradigm, it's about being, it's about identity. But in postmodern era or neo-materialism, and they are talking about becoming. So this is, think about this way. And we are saying what is real and existent is difference and diversity. And from the difference, an island of identity is sometimes created and then swept away by the waves of time or ideology. Okay, does it make sense? The eternal part is like water, matter, and among this matter, there's sometimes emerging an island. It's called that time's identity. And with the time passes and with all kind of variables, that one disappears and another new identity comes out. So what Deleuze or postmodernism they want to say is the original one is difference. Among these changes of differences, there is sometimes a sameness or an identity comes out. So that's what he said. I mean, Deleuze. He is just saying we are talking about his ontology as ontology of becoming. He is talking about we are living, becoming, we are making, becoming ontology. Even a person's identity is not fixed. It's changing. It's becoming something else. Okay? So this one also, this is Andy Warhol's work. And he is also saying this kind of a word. Which one is the original Madeline? Which drawing, which color is the original Madeline? So according to Deleuze, it's not. Similarity as an effect of creating difference. Does it make sense? While you are creating all kinds of differences, or variance, there sometimes pops up similarity. That is you call that times identity. What I want to say is this one. We always talked about this topic is about ecologism, right? Ecology, transformative education. How we live with the earth, or how we live with other non-human beings. So all I want to say is there has been a paradigm shift from humanism to post-humanism. Also, it could be called eco-centric worldview. And in humanism or human-centered world, they divided mind and matter. But in post-humanism or neo-materialism paradigm, here, new or neo-materialism, they are exploring the positive interconnectivity between humans and all non-human other beings. So what they want to say is we need to change our paradigm as well as our learning paradigm as well. So this is the summary part of humanism. Humanism is also, you could say, modernism, you could say humanism, and according to modernism, it's all about rationalism. It's a human-centered, human-dominating world. Okay, and this modernism is dominant with the world view, causing ecological crisis. It resulted in human beings. All we did is caused some economic crisis, ecological crisis, right? So we need to change our attitude, or we need to change our ways of living. So it's all kinds of that movement is called sometimes post-humanism, sometimes post-constructivism, sometimes post-modernism. So what you want to say is, in conclusion, there is educational ecology as well, or ecologism. It's saying the educational ecosystem restoration is to understand education and education process as a living ecosystem. We need to make our education as a kind of education ecosystem. Okay, so in this world, we can say that ecologism, it's all about the construction of an ecosystem where life becomes learning. We cannot separate our being and our knowing, and they are emphasizing that aspect. And we need to make a change. How can you make a change? It's all about what you want to become. Okay, because your identity, or the identity of the earth, our identity is not fixed. It's up to what you do. Does it make sense? You are becoming. How can you becoming another being? How can you becoming? How can you make a difference? How can you make a difference? And they are providing here agency. You can transform, because with this same mass and same material, you can transform something. Even you can transform your identity as well. We can transform climate crisis through our agential act. That's agency. Okay? So in conclusion, here we are living post-humanism paradigm. And there are 4 theoretical foundations to post-human learning agency. The first one is neo-materialism. And they are talking about material transformation here. They are also talking about transformation as well. All human beings, non-humans, object, tools, are beings who live in a mutually dependent and cooperative relationship in the various networks of the world, right? So they are talking about learning paradigm. They are talking about connectivism and relationalism. It's about this one. We are all connected. And the other paradigm, the other philosophy is foundation is about post-phenomenology. In post-phenomenology, they are talking about integration of ontology and epistemology. Okay? Which means we cannot separate what we are and what we know. That's called post-phenomenology. Okay? The third one is actor network theory. ANP. According to actor network theory, thought and actions can be made by interdependent cooperation with other beings in a networked relationships. Okay? Human beings alone cannot resolve climate or ecological crisis. We need to cooperate other beings. Okay? The last one is about flat ontology. It's object-oriented ontology. Okay? They are talking about here not only humans, okay, but all beings in nature can play a subjective role. What could be subjective role? Which means agency. Okay? It's the agency concept proposed by OECD Education 23rd. Because humans and all other non-human beings communicate to each other based on egalitarian relationships. What is that? It's called flat ontology. Okay? So this is what we want to discuss about. We are talking about ecologism. At the lesson 1, we talked about Anthropocene. And there is a different responses to climate crisis, right? And then according to OECD Education 2030, they are emphasizing student agency. Whenever we talk about agency, it's not about not only for human beings. They are also talking about other agencies, co-agencies. And we also talk about the difference between matter and the form. Form is what you are making through your action. You are becoming, or you could become anything depending on your agential decision, depending on your agency or your act. So that's all about ecologism paradigm. It's a contrast with human-centered, or what you know, modernism, or enlightenment, or rationalism. It's not human-centered worldview. And there are other paradigms or other philosophies, which include neo-materialism, post-phenomenology, actor network theory, and object-oriented ontology. Okay, for the final session, we made some link between this student agency, the concept of agency, and the concept of Deleuze ontology of becoming. Okay, you can change your being. We can change the Earth's being, Earth's identity, the Earth, the Gaia. And Deleuze called the process as becoming. Okay, think about it and think about what is anthropocentrism, Anthropocene, and what is ecological transformation, transformative education. And think about what is the ontology of becoming. And try to make, how can you change students, how can you use student agency, or how can you make a connection between student agency and transformative competencies. Okay, that's all about ecological transformative education to respond to climate and ecological crisis. Thank you.